To say WWE Backlash was a success last night, that is a complete understatement. People are still talking about it. People are still buzzing about what happened last night between Bad Bunny and Damian Priest and what I thought was the real main event of Backlash last night. People within WWE are talking about Bad Bunny's performance against Damian Priest at a point right now where WWE is hoping that they have him in some way for SummerSlam in Detroit. The WRKD wrestling account on Twitter tweeted this after his great match with Damian Priest last night at Backlash and said this, and I quote, "In case it wasn't apparent, Bad Bunny and his Backlash match absolutely exceeded expectations backstage, with many WWE superstars lined up in the gorilla position to celebrate with him when he walked to the back. There's hopes backstage in using him in some form for SummerSlam in Detroit." Now, in the end, Bad Bunny went on to beat Damian Priest, obviously with the help of a lot of friends, Legado del Fantasma, Rey Mysterio, Savio Vega, and a returning Carlito Cool, which we will talk about in a second. The match deserves the praise and all the praise that is going to happen for it. I thought it was a tremendous match, and I don't know what WWE would be doing with Bad Bunny at SummerSlam. I mean, the only thing that him and WWE could possibly do at SummerSlam is still continue this in some way, shape, or form. And I have predicted that Judgment Day, even though they are drafted to Monday Night Raw and the LWO is staying on SmackDown, I do believe at some point this year that they will cross paths. This will continue, and it may very well continue with Bad Bunny and his battle alongside the LWO against the Judgment Day, because I did say, and I predict, that this will be the War Games match for Survivor Series this year. The LWO versus the Judgment Day. And honestly, if you want to look at the landscape of WWE, the Judgment Day is probably nearing the most popular group in the WWE right now. The LWO is not that far behind. The Bloodline stuff coming out of WrestleMania has kind of taken a hit creatively, and it really isn't as exciting as it was going into WrestleMania. So they need to do something there to rectify that and get the interest back from the fans. But I do think that Bad Bunny is going to continue fighting alongside the LWO and Rey Mysterio in their battle against Judgment Day that will lead to War Games. Bad Bunny's not going to be a part of War Games, but he's certainly going to be on the road to that happening. So backstage reaction was just as great. Puerto Rico last night was on fire. People are still buzzing about it. And Backlash ended up being a very, very good show for WWE. When's the next time they go back to Puerto Rico? Well, if you're Dave Meltzer, WWE won't be holding another premium live event in Puerto Rico for quite some time. Dave Meltzer said this on the Wrestling Observer Live. The thing is, they're only going to come back if they get paid to come back. So that's up to how much the tourism board wants to pay. And usually when it comes to this type of thing, everything is different. Now, generally speaking, if they want to bring you in, if the tourism board brings you in, they're not going to bring you in every year. They're going to use their money to bring in another act. They're going to use their money to bring on another act next year. It won't always be WWE. For them to do pay-per-view, generally the London market is the exception, because when they go to London, they're not getting paid by a tourism board. They just feel like it's time to do it, Meltzer said. Now, the reason why WWE held this pay-per-view in Puerto Rico, and it ended up being a great show. The fans loved it. Everybody loved it. Dave Meltzer noted that WWE got paid $1.5 million. This is according to Brandon Thurston as well of WrestleNomics. $1.5 million to hold the show there. Now, until WWE gets paid by the tourism board to run another PLE in Puerto Rico, Dave Meltzer saying that they will not run another premium live event there like they did last night with Backlash, and that they would simply be doing house shows like they've been doing for years. I don't really mind if they don't go back immediately. I don't. You don't want to do something like this every year. The same thing is going to happen with WWE going back to a Cardiff or a London. I mean, once a year is fine. I mean, you can't do it 2 or 3 times a year. That would be ridiculous. One house show and one premium live event every year. I think that may be stretching it a little bit, to be quite honest with you. Like, I love destination shows, don't get me wrong, but something like this, you know, the 18 years that WWE have waited to go back there, it did build that type of anticipation. It was a perfect storm, per se, for Puerto Rico. I don't want them to go back every year just for the sake of keeping it special when it does happen and when they do go back there. WWE is going to run into a similar situation with them doing shows in the O2 in London for Money in the Bank and then doing Cardiff. It's not the same area, but also kind of the same at the same time. Those fans over there are rabid. WWE is talking about doing more international shows. I know there was a report that WWE may want to do something in Australia. That would be great. How long have they gone without a show? It's crazy. You know, when was the last time they did a show there? It's been quite a while. I know WWE is thinking about possibly Mexico as well. Keep these shows nice and prestigious. Keep them very special. You don't need to go back to the same place every year. There are other markets that are dying for shows. Canada is another one. I'd love for them to go back to Canada. You saw the reaction in Montreal for Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber. I mean, keep these shows special. I don't want them to go back every year. But if WWE is going to be showing the money, that's exactly where they are going to be. Carlito Cool was the best part of the show for me, in my honest opinion. Outside the match with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, though. Carlito Cool, man, this is not the last time we will reportedly see Carlito Cool in WWE. Now, days before WWE had Backlash in Puerto Rico, Carlito was actually interviewed by metro.co.uk. And he said that he's open to a good offer. He said, yeah, I'm open to whatever. Any good offer from anywhere, it doesn't matter. Thing is, nobody calls me, so I don't sit by the phone either. If something comes up, great. If not, I keep doing what I'm doing. Now, Carlito's 44 years old. He showed up at Backlash last night to help Bad Bunny and the LWO against Judgment Day. He looks to be in the best shape of his life. The last time we saw him, I believe it was a Royal Rumble appearance during the Thunderdome era, and he looked great then. He looks even better now at 44 years old. He would be a great person to include in the LWO. He would be a great person to include in the mid-card. 44 years old, man. There are people on WWE TV that are way older than Carlito that are doing great things. So why not give Carlito a shot and let him go in there, work with the younger talent, and have some banger matches, which we know he can. And he was incredibly over. Yes, Puerto Rico helped that, but I think Carlito is the type of guy that people have been wanting to see back for a while on WWE TV. He'd be a great person to have backstage, helping the younger talent. And if a WWE deal hasn't already been offered yet, it looks like there is a good chance that this time around, they could see Carlito back in WWE, especially with the reaction that he got last night at Backlash. Now, like I said, WWE brought him back in 2021. It was a men's Royal Rumble appearance. He wrestled and won a match the next night on Raw, and there were reports that WWE wanted to sign him to a deal where he would work behind the scenes as a coach as well as wrestle. That was the original deal that MVP was working on. He was brought in to manage, and then he was working those matches, if you guys remember. The deal was never made with Carlito, and there's been talk over the last few years that WWE wanted to bring him back, but he's declined previous offers. It's all about the money. Carlito continues to wrestle for various promotions around the country and in Puerto Rico for WWC. Up until now, Carlito hasn't shown much interest in a full-time WWE schedule, and I would not offer him a full-time WWE schedule. But a post by @BoozerWrestling on Twitter, an insider who's broken many stories in the recent weeks, is indicating Carlito might sign the WWE contract this time around. He says, and I quote, he just might accept it this time. Carlito's been offered a lot of times a contract to get him back to WWE TV, stories, coaching. He's kept declining, but I guess it's time. He knows what's right for him. He can be useful, says Boozer on Twitter. Carlito would be a great asset. I'd love to see him back, especially with the reaction that we got last night at Backlash. It's the first thing that came to my mind. I said it on the live stream as well. Carlito would fit like a glove in the LWO and fit perfectly on a SmackDown to help that younger division, Grayson Waller, Cameron Grimes, work with somebody like Austin Theory for the United States title that Carlito has been very, very known for. So I would love to see it happen. Let me know what you guys think. I'll keep an eye on this. I know WWE's been going through a hiring freeze. They really haven't brought in anybody. And I know they called up several talents from NXT. Instead of bringing in major free agent names, they passed on a couple. Jay White's been passed on, Tama Tonga, Nick Aldis. You guys know the deal. But let me know what you guys think about WWE possibly bringing in Carlito. Do you want to see him back in the WWE? You think he would fit well on Raw or on SmackDown? Let me know what you guys think down below. I got more news coming. Don't go anywhere. There's more news hitting the sub boxes. So make sure you guys keep an eye on what's going on here right on the podcast. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Strive for 1,000 likes minimum today on OTS Extra. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell as well for all notifications. And go check out, if you missed it, the Backlash post show last night live on the channel on the homepage, along with everything else that you might have missed during the week. Guys, I'll have more wrestling news for you on this Sunday. Take care, and I'll see you guys later right back here for more OTS.